Continuing our team coverage with the 1st Congressional District, it's been the most hotly contested race of all and could lead to change for the first time in a generation. Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, is live in West Hartford to explain. Susan.
Aaron, this is a very important primary, not just for Congressman Larson, but also Luke Bronin. It's expected to be a tight race, and the stakes are high. And the question tonight for many voters here in Connecticut, will Congressman Larson, who's been in office for nearly 30 years, go back to Washington, or will it be his Democratic challenger, Luke Bronin? If John Larson is concerned, he's not showing it publicly. On primary day, Congressman Larson seemed confident as he stood with his supporters outside the public library in Hartford. Larson says his experience matters and that he's fighting to protect Social Security. If Democrats take back the House, he will be the chairman of that committee.
We think we have more momentum than Luke Bronin because we have a record, a proven record, of being able to. Luke is backed by billionaires who are supporting him, who don't want to pay Social Security.
But there's no question Luke Bronin could win this election. He got the endorsement at the Democratic convention. Both are spending millions on campaign ads. Bronin, a former Hartford mayor, has gained momentum from those who want some of the old guard out.
Part of leadership is knowing when it's time to pass the torch. But if that change isn't going to come from our leadership, then it's got to come from voters. And that's what this race is about.
Some young voters feel change is important.
I definitely do want to see new leadership because where we are right now as a country, it's obvious that something does need to change. But I don't think it's an emphasis on younger voices. I just think it's an emphasis on voices that want to listen to young people.
There are two other candidates in this race, Jillian Gilchrist and Ruth Fortune, who both attract socially progressive voters, and they could take votes away from the two frontrunners tonight. I will be with the Larson campaign at Goodwin University in East Hartford, and my colleague Dylan Fearon will be with the Bronin campaign. Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, Channel 3 Eyewitness News, live in Hartford tonight.
Susan, thank you very much.